Greetings. This is the version 2 process for processing vendor-provided spreadsheets of product information and massaging it to put into BigCommerce. Um, Hopefully this process is a little bit more straightforward than the previous one. This is just going to be as short as fucking possible step through of the process. So, so at the beginning we have the starting point checks, and organization to this is key. Keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of unknown unknowns. You may have to refer back to previous versions of spreadsheets, original documents. Um, it's entirely possible that you'll go through the entire process only to a week later have to do a pricing change or some type of correction, and you'll have to reference back to the previous import documents. So try and stay organized throughout all of this because you never know when you're going to have to refer back to this or someone else is going to have to refer to this. And if we're not consistent, we're screwed. All right. So first thing is creating the working directory structure on your local PC that you're going to be operating with. And best to put this under the C temp directory because all the programs and assistant scripts that I write all put their logs and their result files under temp. So best to have it all in one place. For you Mac users that want to, put everything on the desktop, that doesn't work very well when you're dealing with Python scripting. That will cause problems later. So please put in temp. All right, so we create a folder with the vendor name, in this case Intermatic. There's going to be 3 subfolders in it. At some point, we're going to be downloading PDF and install guides and spec sheets. That'll go under here. We'll be downloading pictures. Those will go in there. And the original source spreadsheets that we get from the vendor should be under source here. When you get the files, you're going to have to take a look at them. Don't take anything for granted. Vendors will change things randomly. You can never expect to get the same thing twice, and each vendor has their own special little formats that they're going to do. It's quite likely that you may get files that are, you get 4 or 5 files, and you'll have to splice all the information together into one working file. Um, it's possible that the files will have contradictory data. It's a pain in the ass to have to line all this shit up, and it's unique to each case. Keep in mind before starting out, take a look at the file extensions. Make sure that you're actually working with a spreadsheet and not a CSV file, because some of our vendors will provide CSV files because their ERP systems do exports that way. So your very first step will have to be converting the CSV into an XLSX file, that's Excel file, or if you've got multiple of them, and then doing some quick cleanup and trying to splice the information together. As we can see here with Intermatic gave us 2 files. This is not unusual. One file, of course, has all the product information. The other file has the pricing. That is a suboptimal situation, so we got to splice the 2 together so we got one working file and rename it. Do not alter the source files if possible, aside from converting to XLSX, because you never know when you may have to go all the way back down to bare dirt and go, how did all of this go wrong? When you're dealing with something with dozens and dozens of very complex steps, the possibility of screwing something up, even the most minor at 1 steps, and causing a cascade failure of all the recursive steps that come after that is high. So you don't want to break your trail of breadcrumbs. You want everything that you do, every step that you do, you want to be able to revert back to a previous version, the previous set of data, so you can retrace your steps and correct the problem. If you don't, you will waste hours and hours and hours trying to recreate things. As we of course can see, the naming of the files from the vendor, it makes perfect sense for them. It makes no sense for us. So keeping in mind that 8 months from now, when you have to look at this stuff again, you're not going to remember their naming convention. This is why we take their source files and we recreate a working file with our naming convention, our dating, and our formatting, so that we have consistency to work with going forward. It can be very complicated and time consuming just to try and merge all the data that you get from whatever the data source is, vendor, whichever, into one working file and one kind of format that you can go with forever. And there's no hard and fast rules. There's um, every case is going to be unique. But as some of the most general rules, first off, a lot of these files are going to have special formatting. They may have special filters on here. They may have color coding and all kinds of other weird shit. We see in this case, they have logos and stuff like that. That's going to fuck up all of our processes. All of this formatting has to be neutralized before we can even merge the sheets together and try and get with that one consistent starting file. And you'll have kooky stuff like this, where, okay, we've got a tab here named example. What the hell was this? This is useless to us. Thank you very much. You have to use your intuition a lot on this process as you're starting to what we call collate the data. You should be keeping an eye out for, do I have all the data available? It's not unusual for the vendor to screw up and not give us everything that we need. As a minimum, you need to have sheets that have a catalog number, or it could go by a variety of names: SKU, products number, item number, manufacturer's part number. Every vendor uses a different name for this thing, this unique identifying name of the product, if you will. We need some version of product description. It's fairly common that there's multiple versions of descriptions. You'll have a short description or trade description that's usually put in the sales system, the ERP system. You have a long description that's for marketing material, that type of stuff. That's good. We should at least have a short and a long description, or if nothing else, then one long description that we can massage into shorter and longer versions. We need to have a weight generally. Sometimes we don't. We can live without it, but ideally we really need to have a product weight. We need to have a manufacturer's advertised price, map, or internet map. That is not what we're buying it for. This is what they recommend we sell it as. Every manufacturer pretty much forces us to have to publish the map price. What we actually sell it as is, a different issue, but we have to publish the map price. So if you don't have a map price on one of these sheets, you're dead. Stop now. Price per quantity. Is this per 10,000 million? Obviously in our ERP, or our e-commerce system, we want price each. Um, and that's price each package. So it might be a 2-pack of bulbs, so not price per bulb, but price per package of. This needs to be kept in mind. We need to have at least one actual URL for at least one product image. We try very hard not to put products on the site that don't have images. So that's the basics. Look through your data. Look for catalog number, a description that you can work with, hopefully a weight, the manufacturer's advertised price, not our cost, the per quantity, is it each, per hundred, or whatever, and an image URL. Ideally also, but not critical, is we would like to have a URL for the PDFs of spec sheets and install guides. But at least these 5 things. If you don't have these 5 things in these various spreadsheets, stop, go back to the vendor and get the demand you get the information that's missing, or else we can't go any further. Okay, so assumably we've got all our required fields of data between these two spreadsheets. Now, how do we merge them together? As we say, mostly we start off by neutralizing the format, cleaning out some garbage, and then using one of our tools to splice the two into one. Start off with whatever spreadsheet. In this case, we've got 2. Find the one that's got the majority of the information. We'll use that as our base sheet. As we can see, it doesn't have a lot of information we need to neutralize. What you're going to want to do is save this base sheet under the new naming convention, which of course is going to be brand, year, month, day, and R1 for revision 1. That's always the starting point worksheet. So we're going to take this basis one, We try not to alter the original documents because we may never know when we have to go back to them. So we do a file save as and save it under the right naming convention. That will be our starting point. This is stored in the folder location source. Here we have our standard naming convention. Brand, the starting date that we started doing this work, and this is the Rev1, this is the starting point worksheet. So we save that. Now we can go through the process of starting to clean up and merge. The simplest thing to do when we have garbage like this, say, okay, we see this example tab is unnecessary, delete tabs that have garbage. Then rename the initial as source so you don't get it confused with the other ones. Every time we do a modification, we do mod 1, mod 2, mod 3, depending on what step we are in this. Okay, so here's the source. Mod 1 is to neutralize the format. So we create a tab here. Simplest thing to do, copy the whole thing, and then paste values only, not the formatting, into the new one. All right, and then we do some cleanup. So we do a little basic quick cleanup here. As you can see, bold the top, freeze the panes, change the names. Take a look at the you want to expand these out to auto fit and then shrink things down so they're manageable. You might want to move some columns around if they're kind of in a disorganized fashion. This is okay. The naming on the columns is going to get changed over time. So I start off with, since we have to merge two spreadsheets together, use a naming convention that makes sense. Refer to the V2 import guide, which will tell you what the names of these fields should be towards the end. So we want to try and change them to what their future names will be. So manufacturer's catalog number means nothing to me, but product code SKU does. So, we're going to change those names. This helps when we're merging spreadsheets together because we have a standard naming convention that we're familiar with. So there's like spreadsheet 1, and then here's spreadsheet 2, and we change those names to match so it's easier to key in on information. In the case of this sheet, by stupid luck, they used a product name, which we also use in BigCommerce, but something different. Looking at this data, this actually is the short description as opposed to the long description. So we're going to rename that to short description so that we don't get it confused with our standard BigCommerce data columns. Okay, once we have the basic naming and formatting down, and we've done a quick perusal of the two worksheets. In this case, luckily, we got the same number of products on both sheets. This are more or less. The ones that are not in the pricing, since there's no descriptive information, we're just going to drop off. So as we said, in this case, this had the bulk of information, so this will be the master sheet. So the master number of products that we're going to work with is going to be from here. I don't care about the pricing of 10 products that we don't have any other product information on. Not unusual. A lot of times the different sheets are going to have a different number of products, and we have to kind of whittle it down to the base of products that we have all the key information on. That means some get chopped off. We're lucky in this case because all the information that we need is pretty much in this spreadsheet, and the only thing that we need that's not redundant from the other spreadsheet is the map pricing. And how we do this is, we won't get into the details, but we use AbleBits data, and we merge the two tables of information together, and we just pull the map pricing into this mod 1 tab of the spreadsheet. There might be cases where we're dealing with multiple sheets, and you might have multiple columns that you need to map. AbleBits does that. We won't get into AbleBits right now. So the end result of using AbleBits is we're able to splice the pricing into what will now be our master worksheet. I've decided, because the pricing is unusual, we're not entirely settled that map is right, I've included all of the pricing columns, which we can take out later if we don't need them. But this will be the R1 spliced worksheet, which is the starting point. After we've got all of the separate worksheets splice data that we need spliced into the one worksheet. This is saved, and we don't alter it after this point. We make a copy of it. So this completes the starting checkpoints to just try and get the basic data kind of corralled into something sane and try and merge all the information you need into one worksheet that we take further on in the other steps. So that completes this video.